What is up, guys? Mike Merlinski here from Wretched Sound. Happy New Year, happy 2022. It's been quite a year. I'm so happy with the way things have been going. Thank you for your amazing love and support. This was the year that this has been my best year since I started the zine in 2015. We used to be called the Metal Webzine, and we rebranded this year as of August when we decided to start incorporating more genres into what we cover. But this has been the most successful year, both in terms of physical magazines. Well, it's our first year with like a monthly physical magazine, and in terms of our website, our WordPress that we've had since 2015. We've gotten the most views, the most clicks, the most everything on the WordPress this year. This was the year that I got up the courage to monetize the zine and broaden my horizons, take in more genres, monetize the WordPress, my .com, wretched-sound.com, and monetize just the zine because it's a monthly physical magazine now. And the level of support I've gotten from you guys, whether it be on Amazon or buying it from local stores, around Buffalo and Rochester, New York, which is all we've been doing up until now. It's been incredible that you guys have rallied behind me like this, and you want the physical, you want zines to be, in hard copy format again, and you're showing me that, and your support has allowed me to continue pumping one of these out per month, and I've got a lot of things to talk about. The biggest thing that's happened yet, I've been posting about it lately. I'll get into that in a second. But, in getting into 2022, I'm going to be introducing some new faces, some new crew members, contributors, distributor, a new publisher, a new, I don't know, I might talk about my agent. I'm not sure. If I should or not, if that's even interesting, or probably not a good idea, because then everyone and their mother will, want a publishing deal, because a lot of writers out there. But what we're getting into now is the January 2022 issue, so I have to do a shameless plug before I get into metal albums of the year. So here's issue 6, the January 2022 edition, featuring Inertia, progressive technical death metal band from my hometown of Buffalo, New York, and they are probably the most technically proficient and the most intimidating metal band that I've come across in our local scene yet, and that's why they're on the cover. And this one is called A Guide to the New York Underground, because I went ahead and I made ads, promotional ads, for 50 of my favorite New York State bands, and I hooked up with a distributor on the West Coast, and I'll reveal more about that later. And this 5,000 copies of this are being printed off of Amazon. It's available on Amazon right now. There's a hardcover version of this as well that's full color and 75 pages. This is 57 pages. The hardcover is 75. And again, it's full color. Those are very expensive to produce and distribute, so that's going to be an online exclusive. But off of Amazon, thanks to my distributor and my publisher. 5,000 copies of this black and white softcover. Interior kind of looks like this. They're going to be distributed to record stores, select record stores across the continental U.S. And this process has already begun. So when certain stores start receiving their inventories, I will post on Facebook and everywhere else, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere else I am. Every time a new store gets theirs, and we'll talk about, their experience, and we'll hopefully have a solid run at promoting and spreading the word of these wonderful underground New York metal bands around the country. Hopefully people go to their local record store and pick this up, and that would make me happy. So we're talking top metal albums of the year. So that takes me to last month's issue. Well, this month's issue, but it's about to be last month. So here's issue 5, December 2021. And this guy on the cover, dressed up like Santa Claus, is Rick Horton from the Metallic Onslaught Radio show, based in Central New York. He's been a part of that outfit for quite a while, supporting underground Central New York bands and bands all across the country. Honestly, you know, he focuses on smaller bands like I do. So we get together every year and we talk about our top metal albums of the year, big and small. And I wanted to publish our thoughts in the magazine now that I am doing a monthly magazine. And that article is also at wretched-sound.com. And he's a popular guy in this area, so that article actually did pretty well, like on the website, and we actually sold a lot of copies of this. But we also sold a lot of copies of this because I put together a 2022 calendar featuring local metal bands. So I'll leave links to all these physical copies of the zine, this calendar, and then the guide to the New York Underground and all that every other issue we've done. I'll leave links to all that in the description below. But yeah, so I just want to consult the article that I posted with Rick so we can get into discussing the top metal albums, big and small, of 2021. So, without further ado, so first we got into if this is like an impossible question to answer, you know. But name your undisputed album of the year if you have one. If you can't narrow it down to one, talk about a few. Talking bigger bands. And Rick said Hushed and Grim by Mastodon. 15 tracks of awesome and no filler. Wallflowers by Ginger. I love this band. I know not everyone gets it. Sounds good to my ears. And Colors 2, Between the Buried and Me. Just as amazing as the first Colors, says Rick. So, of course, I had to go with my top pick, and I've been talking about this band on the channel and on the WordPress and, you know, in the physical zines and on Facebook and Instagram. I've been talking about this since the beginning of summer. But I knew it was going to be my album of the year the second it was announced, and I'm talking about Bleed the Future by Spire from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Amazing technical death metal band, but there's so much more than a tech death band. Spire, they're so catchy. So obviously they're known for their speed, you know, fast, proficient, but so catchy and so damn spot on with their melodies. And even for as fast as the vocals are, you know, Ollie has this uncanny ability to write the catchiest vocal patterns and choruses, and he always remembers to incorporate the name of the song in the song, and it's really easy to differentiate between like they just write memorable music, and you can't say that about, in my opinion, you can't say that about the majority of tech death bands. So the runner-up is The Work by Rivers of Nile. This is such an eclectic album. You know, you got your technical death metal, your classic death metal, traditional heavy metal, the metalcore, the jazz, trace elements of classical music. Like, they incorporate so much into their sound, and they do it seamlessly, and their songs are just big epic adventures. So if you've never heard Rivers of Nile, you know, normally I don't say this about bands, but you wouldn't be hurting yourself by starting with their latest album, The Work, and working backwards from there. It is just they've grown and matured so much as a band. I really believe The Work is their best work. So then we said, do a list of 10 to 20 albums that really stuck out to you this year, including your top dogs, bigger bands, still talking bigger bands. So Rick said, obviously, Hushed and Grim by Mastodon, Wallflowers by Ginger, Colors 2 by Between the Buried and Me, and then we get into some others. Existence is Futile, Cradle of Filth. I'm actually amazed they're still a band, because I don't think I even followed them or realized that, because I haven't really been a Cradle of Filth fan since Midian. In the Court of the Dragon by Trivium, Aggression Continuum by Fear Factory, Echoes of the Soul by Crypta, Hell Unleashed by Evil, Perpetual Chaos by Nervosa, Blood in the Water by Flotsam and Jetsam, Echoes from a Mass, Greenleaf. And then we get into some local albums. Of Flesh, Steel and Stone by Invictra, Hollow Black by Juggernaut. So let me back up here. So Invictra, they're like a melodic thrash band. So when I think of Invictra, they're from Leroy, New York. So when I think of Invictra, I think of Metallica, Testament, and Trivium. Hollow Black by Juggernaut. This is a straight hardcore band. Straight, beat 'em up New York City style hardcore band. Bottom of the Universe by Yanari. This is a sludge band. They are from Buffalo. They worship Sabbath and sleep. to no end. But it's just brutal, heavy stuff in the same vein as like slower, like stoner-esque doom metal bands, but just with the harsh vocals and that really thick, disgustingly distorted bass tone that you get with like a Sans amp and like an additional booster pedal or however the hell that works. I honestly don't know where the hell this bass tone comes from, but it's very unique, but it's also a lot like just, heavier Sabbath or like the band Sleep. Spectral Carnage by Gravecarver. Deceiver by Chemist. Now I'm getting into bands I don't even know. Bionic Swarm by Cryptosis, excuse me. Odyssey by Vaconis. The Lurch by Yota. If you know who that is, leave it in the comments. It's Yautja, and the album's called The Lurch. And then Vald by Humanity's Last Breath. So here's my list. That was Rick's list. Here's my list. So Bleed the Future by Spire, The Work by Rivers of Nile. Trendy thing to say, but I have to talk about Eternal Blue by Spirit Box because I think a lot of people are jealous of this band. And it's true, they're not doing anything new. And the fact that they have a female lead singer has a lot to do with their popularity and success. But I also think that, like, I find a lot of nostalgic value with this band because I never really got into gent or like a lot of modern metal. But when I listen to Eternal Blue, not so much earlier Spirit Box material, but when I listen to Eternal Blue, like there's a certain like ethereal quality to it. And it reminds me of just a lot of really specific and darker and almost like more goth sounding bands that I was listening to in high school. So I think it's really cool that they're able to capture that Courtney and the gang are able to capture that kind of ethereal vibe and blend it in with the gent and like the modern metal and stuff. And it's not as genty as previous releases too. So they're not, I wouldn't even say Eternal Blue follows that gent trend. Like parts of it are almost like a new metal core or just there actually is a lot of really cool clean guitar, like a lot of really unique sounding clean guitar passages with a lot of like really cool effects and a lot more traditional heavy metal embedded within their sound than I think people realize. Because sometimes you hear something kind of upbeat with a bounce to it, like a super down-tuned guitar like chugging along to it, like in drop A or B standard or anything extended range, double drop, whatever, and you just associate that with new metal, right? Because that's what Korn made popular when they were playing 7-string guitars and 7-string Ibanez's and just chunking along with the slap bass. So you hear stuff like that and you just associate it with Korn from the mid '90s, right? But if you see past that and really listen to all these different vibes that are layered on top of each other. Like, most of the tracks on Eternal Blue, sorry to talk about this album so long, it's just super interesting to me. A lot of these songs on Eternal Blue have this very unique, ghostly vibe to them. And sure, like, it's mostly because of Mike Stringer's guitar effects and Courtney LaPlante's vocals, but it's quite a combination. I don't think I haven't heard another album quite like it. Ironically enough, because it's so similar to so many other releases in modern metal. So I'll move on. I'm going to move on from Eternal Blue. Diamante by Temperance. They're a lesser known like Italian band. They're like symphonic metal. Nightwish was my favorite band for a long time. And they went through a couple singers and a couple stylistic changes, and Nightwish just kind of stopped doing it for me. But they were kind of my introduction to symphonic metal 20 plus years ago. But I'd say Temperance has taken the throne. They are my favorite symphonic metal band now. They have 3 lead vocalists, Marco, Michelle, and Alyssa, and Marco is also the main songwriter and the lead guitarist. But all 3 of them do vocals, split the vocal duties evenly. And the power and the diversity of their vocals, the consistency, the melodies that they write. It's the three singers on their own. They're a band within a band, and it's just really great to hear that with the orchestral elements and the heavy metal, classic heavy metal influences all coming together. I've been a fan of theirs since 2018. So over the past almost 4 years now, they've easily become my favorite symphonic metal band. They really stand out. They have so many layers to them, and so many it's just a plethora of just fantastic musicianship. So I'm talking way too long. Vilegenesis by Infuria, black and melodic death metal. Go check them out if you like any melodic death metal. Kind of has like a blackened edge to it, I guess. Anything epic sounding with keyboards that's like close to black and melodic death metal, you'll love Infuria. And another band also on Malcolm from Infuria's record label, The Artisan Era, sounds very similar to Infuria. I'm also going to mention is Demon King, and they released The Final Tyranny this year, and I love that. A melancholic melodic death metal band from Finland I love is Omnium Gatherum, and they just nail this sound perfectly. Just this beautifully sad but heavy and thought-provoking melodic death metal sound. I'm such a sucker for melodies, and they just nail them. So Omnium Gatherum put out Origin this year. And for some classic melodic death metal with shades of Slaughter of the Soul and other classic albums from the 90s by bands like At the Gates and In Flames and Dark Tranquillity, I have to give it up for Tampa, Florida's The Absence. They put out Coffinized this year, and it's just so good if you like that classic melodic death metal sound from the 90s. And then we have to go right to At the Gates, who put out a new record this year. And there is a saxophone solo in one of these fucking songs on this At the Gates record that really took me by surprise. And, like, it still has the classic At the Gates sound, but it is so progressive, and they're incorporating some instruments and some methods that I don't think they've incorporated before. It's a very diverse album, but at the same time very classic sounding, so I have to talk about it. And the album's called The Nightmare of Being. Senjutsu by Iron Maiden. No description needed. It's Iron Maiden. It's a new Iron Maiden record. If you haven't heard it and you love Iron Maiden, go get it. It is amazing. But I will say this about it. The samurai version of Eddie on the cover has replaced the cyborg from Somewhere in Time as my favorite representation of Eddie. I love this album cover. Violence Unimagined by, I could say Tampa, but I'll say Buffalo's own Cannibal Corpse. They put out a new record, Violence Unimagined. Brutal death metal. Nobody does it better than them. It's Cannibal Corpse, come on. Halloween is back. They put out a self-titled record this year. Go get it if you like Halloween. It's amazing. Jesse from Killswitch Engage. Jesse and Adam did their offshoot band, a new album with Times of Grace this year. Songs of Loss and Separation. If you like sad metalcore, if you want to listen to Killswitch Engage, but it's not Killswitch Engage, go get it. It's great. Lorna Shore. So let's talk about Will Ramos, who is fucking ungodly on vocals, and he has this insane range and these inhuman noises he makes, and he sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. And I've never heard a harsh vocalist quite like him. And he ended up in, I guess more, what are they, like a symphonic deathcore band? Would you consider Lorna Shore? So I don't know. This new singer that Lorna Shore has, he alone might be putting them on the map, but the band is incredible. And the orchestral stuff that you hear that comes out of nowhere in their songs that you wouldn't expect from a band like this is just, they're the whole package. So the new album is And I Return to Nothingness. Go get it. Insomnium came out with Argent Moon. This is such a cool EP, and, I would almost advise you, if you like that, similar to Omnium Gatherum, I mean, same members too, well, a few of the same members. If you're into that melancholic melodic death metal sound from Finland, and you like Insomnium, but you haven't heard the new record yet, I would almost say they're getting so high budget and cinematic with their music videos, and I think they put out a video for almost every song on the EP go on YouTube and watch the videos with the music, and it's a whole experience in and of itself. It's just it's so cool how far they've come and how they're dumping some serious cash into this too, dumping some serious euros into these music videos, and it's just it's really cool to see. It's really cool to see how far they've come, how far like they've come musically, like their sound's really matured, but at the same time, Insomnium, like there's a whole visual element to what they do now that's just, it's so cool, and it's so you know, emotional. It just really tugs on your heartstrings if you're into this style of music. Yeah, I had one more. The new one from Swallow the Sun, Moonflowers. I remember when I saw this band in Syracuse a few years ago, people hated them who were hearing them for the first time. Like, people were pretending to fall asleep and, you know, chanting boring and all that. Because it's like, what is it? Like melodic death metal mixed with doom metal, more or less, right? It's really slow. It's really eerie sounding. A lot of repetition. But the vocals are just so great and so ear-piercing and violent, and it's another really emotional band that, and they have this ability to just, if you're into this style of music, Swallow the Sun, they just have this ability to, you know, sink their teeth into you, you know, or latch onto your brain and just take you on this journey with them. Like, they pull you in, and you're, whatever is happening in the song, whatever their thought process was when they were writing the song, you are in the moment, living in the interior of that song with them. So whatever scene, whatever idea they're trying to convey with that song, like if that were a movie, you would be living inside that movie. That's how powerful this band is if you take the time to really dig into all the layers. I keep talking about layers. All right. I'm done with my rant. I'm done with my list of bigger bands. Moving on. So, I wanted to know about albums that you wouldn't have expected to like this year, but that really grew on you and even turned you on to a style of music you weren't expecting. And Rick said Eternal Flame by Northtail. And he said, I'm usually not a huge fan of power metal. A lot of it sounds like 40 minutes of galloping on a horse, which is true, and that's what I love about it. However, bands like Unleash the Archers, Helion Prime, and Northtail have changed my mind on that. Unleash the Archers. What an incredible band. And they just have the best attitude. They're so likable as people. They have the best fans. Unleash the Archers, man. If you like power metal, if you like the work of Tolkien, like if you're into The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and like any lore like that, and you love power metal and you love great melodic songwriting, go listen to Unleash the Archers if you never have. What an incredible band, and just incredible people. Watch some videos, watch some live shows, and just go down that rabbit hole, please. But we're supposed to be talking about Northtail. I've actually never heard Northtail, so after reading that, I'm going to check this out. So, what I chose was Eternal Blue by Spirit Box, but I've already given that rant in this video. So where are we at here? Talk about a few album covers that really jumped out at you this year. And of course we had to talk about Violence Unimagined by Cannibal Corpse and the cover of the new Iron Maiden record. Because comparatively it's not even close. Now we're finally getting into local bands for you local bands that are watching and waiting to hear your band name mentioned. List off some noteworthy local albums that really grabbed your attention this year, as many as you'd like. So, Rick talked about Void Emperor from Syracuse, Yanari from Buffalo, Invictor from Leroy, Acrolasia from Rochester, Juggernaut from Buffalo, and Mass Casualty from Buffalo. So just taking a deeper dive into some of those. So I said Mass Casualty as well, and the new record's called Death Count, and it's brutal death metal, and it's simple but tasty. It's to the point, and it's a death metal band with an album called Death Count. And if you saw the cover and you heard everything I just said, you already know what it's going to sound like. You get what you pay for. and they don't disappoint. Of Flesh, Steel, and Stone by Invictra. We both already mentioned that a few times. They're young kids, and they're just killing it with this melodic thrash, this modern spin on what Testament accomplished in their scene. And I have to bring up the First Circle by Hell Ever After. Super partial to that band because they're doing something that, as far as I know, has never been done at least in this area before. Never been done in Western New York. It's a metal opera, but there's some rock in there. And it's more popular to say rock opera, I guess. But it's a metal and rock opera. And there's a whole storyline to it, and costumes, and plans for a huge, bombastic stage show with pyrotechnics and all that. And but no, so we'll see if they get there. But they got to record the full length first. But there are 4 tracks you can listen to on Bandcamp right now for their debut EP, which is called The First Circle. And the story is great. The costumes, it's more of a live experience. But like if you are to listen to the songs, you'll get an idea of the theatrical nature of it. It's not a straightforward metal band by any means. Like I've compared them to like Metallica, Slayer, and Poison the Well, because they're doing a lot of classic heavy metal, they're doing a lot of thrash metal, and they're doing a lot of hardcore. So it's a nice mixture of the three, but if you listen to the vocals and you listen to the lyrics, it's so theatrical. And if you can just imagine these visuals and a lot of things taking place down in the bowels of hell, like if you can just imagine the costumes and these visuals as if it were a movie and give it some cinematic value, like you would love this. If you're into anything I'm talking about, like this is another band and another idea that's so unique and just kind of immerse yourself in it. So definitely check out The First Circle by Hell Ever After. And look it up on YouTube, because the debut club show, which is the closest thing you're going to get to the live show that they want to achieve one day, that's on YouTube, and that is, in my opinion, a much better representation of what they're trying to do as opposed to just listening to the album. So, yeah. Where'd we get? Deluded. So I love Deluded. They're from Rochester, right? And they are... They don't care what you think, and I know like it's like cool to say that in metal and everybody says that. What I mean by that is like they're playing styles of music that the authorities today will tell you is no longer relevant. Like they just blatantly rip off like 2000s metalcore and the Deftones and all the shit that they grew up with, but they're just the way they just ram it down your throat, they're making it relevant again all on their own. And they're purposely not moving with the times because they don't want to, and the way they present themselves as people and on stage, whether it's on social media or on stage, and just the way they present their songs, it's the kind of thing that makes the listener find this music to be relevant again. Or if you're younger and you're discovering styles like that for the first time, then you want to go down that rabbit hole. So that's why Deluded's doing a killer job. Because they are creating new fans of that style, and they're also giving all the nostalgia and all the positive vibes to people who maybe thought they grew out of Deftones in high school, but maybe now they're listening to Deftones again, or, at least the older albums like Adrenaline, Around the Fur White Pony, because Deluded told them to do so. Deluded is all mindfuckery. Like, you're going to go back and you're going to love Metallica and you're going to love Deftones and you're going to love, maybe that first Unearthed record, because we're telling you to go back and listen to those albums again and to support the shit out of our band as well. So it's brilliant mindfuckery. They have great social media engagement because they're just super likable. It's so important. You want to sell merch, you want to sell your band, be likable. Without Gravity, they put out a record this year. Oh yeah, I gotta give the names of the Deluded singles. So 2 new singles this year, Jackie Chandroid and Church of Latter-day Stank. So if that didn't sell you, I don't know what will. But then Without Gravity from Buffalo and Rochester, they released an album called Navigate this year. And their they're putting together pop punk, hip hop, and metalcore, like nostalgic 2000s metalcore again, getting into that. Again, such a unique band. That's another band that I did not expect, or a style I did not expect to ever get into again, or in the first place, because I'm not sure I ever listened to a band that combines those three. But it's so unique, and the guitar work is so over the top. They're so like catchy and technically proficient. It's a really surprising band, and the melodies are really catchy. And I didn't expect to like something like that this year or ever. But Navigate by Without Gravity, really, really good. And I can't say enough about it. But I've talked too long already. So I'm also getting into this whole black and roll thing, and a band from Buffalo pulling this off is Rebel Scum, and they used to have a straighter like thrash metal sound to them, but now they've got a new vocalist and they're heading in a slightly different musical direction. So they're doing the whole black and roll thing. Another good example of black and roll would be like the new Dark Throne album, or like a band. There's a band called Worm Witch that's doing like a black and roll type thing, and I just love. I love that. I love the rock and roll spin on the super serious, super dark and gritty black metal sound that came out of Norway. I almost said out of nowhere. That came out of Norway however many years ago. So, again, it's really cool to see more and more underground bands kind of doing this thing, and it makes black metal less exclusive. You know, it's more inclusive now. Like, if you're going to do... I can't even call it post-black metal, because when you think post-black metal, you think slower, you think sad. This is just upbeat, snarling black and roll. Go get it. I have to talk about There Are No Answers, the newest album from a local band in Buffalo called The Long Cold Dark. And they're doing like Metallica meets Gojira meets Machine Head type thing. And... again, three bands that I've never really, I love Metallica. I've loved Metallica for most of my life, and I still love them. Even the newer albums. Even Saint Anger and beyond. But I never really got into Gojira. I never really got into Machine Head. It just seemed like that trendy kind of heavy to me. But for some reason, when these four guys... combine those three sounds and put out a record, it gels to me. And it says, I can't call it, like, I couldn't narrow it down, so I'm just going to call them eclectic metal. But they're one of those bands that can take all these different styles and just throw them in a blender and it comes out seamless. It's just a really interesting listen. It's a journey, and if you like that kind of metal, and if you want to try those three very different bands kind of blended together, There Are No Answers by The Long Cold Dark. Go get it. So, now we're on to name your undisputed local album of the year if you can narrow it down to one. And if you can't, do a bunch of honorable mentions to go under your top local albums. And Rick said it's a toss-up between Invictra, Yanari, and Juggernaut. So, the melodic thrash band, the sludge band, and the hardcore band. And I have to admit, all three releases are pretty damn... you could tell who the pent-up bands are, the bands that, chose not to really do anything during the pandemic, and they were just waiting for their chance to get out there again and, throw some music in your face. So those three bands with their new records are perfect examples of that. And I love that raw, honest emotion in the music. And I basically said the same thing. Except, I tossed in The Long Cold Dark again because of the surprises. All the surprises that came from music this year. And, stuff I wasn't expecting to like, but did. So, yeah. That will bring it to a close when talking about our top bigger releases and local releases of 2021. Again, hit subscribe. If you like what we're doing, hit subscribe. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Even if it's a nasty one, I'll love it. I won't delete it. especially if you're going to talk about how I just rambled on and there was nothing particularly interesting about this video. Like, I'm not into a lot of heavy video editing. Like, I have video editors and I know how to use them, or I'm learning how to use them, but I like this raw, honest, webcam, kind of blurry view type presentation. I don't know. The camera quality is shit. The audio quality is probably worse. There's little to no video editing. You'll notice a few skips, and it's where I fucked up and just had to splice in video. But no, I don't really do any of that with this, because I just want to, I want to be authentic, and it's also very time consuming, and I have a lot going on in my life, and I don't want to hire a video editor, and I don't want to spend 20 hours, editing a 10-minute video like some of these YouTubers do. So please comment with all the hate you like. If you even made it this far into the video, this is already a lot longer than I was intending for this to be. I was going to list off the albums of the year and then drop it. But no, I'm just really, really happy with how things have gone with the zine. I'm glad that I had the courage to turn this into a job, to monetize it, to release a monthly physical magazine as kind of a throwback to how things used to be. And, I'm 37, and so I grew up in a time, I don't want to say before the internet, but a time when physical media and things like zines were still prevalent. So it's nice to do my part to put stuff like that back into the world, and it's nice to know that I have a following of people who want me to continue doing that. So, again, in the description below, I'm going to leave a link to all our stuff. Facebook, Instagram, the physical magazines on Amazon, and where else you can pick those up, and all that kind of stuff. So, my throat's getting pretty dry. I'm getting pretty scratchy. I got a little heartburn. So I'm going to get out of here. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. And I hope you enjoy what we do. Peace.